I want to talk about a story that apparently happened like a month ago, but the climax of the story happened now, which is why I think it's worth discussing. And it kind of involves this book. It partly involves this book. It's a children's book, The Adventures of Cece and the Sheriff. As far as I could tell, this is a nice little children's book. It's not an allegory for something else. It's just a story about, two friends, and it's all well and good. So the reason I bring that up is because the author of that book, his name, as I showed you a second ago, his name there is Dominic Thrasher, and he just released this book not that long ago. I guess he used to be an actor, now he's turned to writing, and he lives in Michigan, and he visited his hometown of Beale City because a friend of his from I don't know how long ago, but a friend of his said, "Hey, I work with kids. Can you come to my school and read your book for my students? I think they'd get a kick out of it." So he was super excited to do it. It turns out those students, they're in pre-kindergarten. We're talking like 4-year-old students. They're students at St. Joseph the Worker School, basically a Catholic school. His friend said, "Come on by, read your book." And as far as I could tell, everything went great. It was actually, March was National Reading Month. Everyone had a great time. There was a story about this, and I love the quotations from Dominic Thrasher. Check this out. He said it was just a great time. Here he is in a news article. "It was amazing. Oh my God. It was so much fun," he said. And later on, "The kids were so excited, and I actually ended up staying for snack time too." That's awesome. That sounds great, right? Everyone had a good time. The kids loved it. He loved it. And in the days to follow, this was in early March, in the days to follow, no one complained about it because why would they? There was nothing to complain about. But apparently, like a week after all this happened, the priest who basically runs the church that oversees this Catholic school, the priest's name is Thomas Held. He posted something on Facebook that amounted to an apology. Here's what he posted and then deleted not that long after. But let's read through this together because it's wild. And maybe you're wondering, what the hell is he? What's an apology for? I mean, that's a good question. All right, dear school parents and all parishioners of St. Joseph the Worker. Recently, a guest who does not represent the values of our Catholic faith read to our pre-K children as part of our March's Reading Month activities. To my knowledge, the book and any related conversation was appropriate for our students. A St. Joseph teacher was present in the room at all times. I was unaware that the guest had been invited. As your pastor, I will see to it that a new vetting process is put in place in order to minimize anything of the sort from happening again in the future. Thank you for your fidelity to the faith. Father Tom Held. It's like, what the hell? What is he talking about? Just to highlight the big stuff here. This guy doesn't represent their values, even though the book was appropriate and everything they talked about was appropriate. And a teacher was there because, of course, a teacher would be there, even though nothing would have happened if the teacher wasn't there. And then it says, we're going to make sure there's a vetting process in place because this can never happen again. And I'm reading that thinking, what is this that you are so afraid is going to happen again? Because nowhere in that posting does it say anything about what went wrong. Did something go wrong? Who knows? Like, that's how much he was dodging the issue. What is it about Dominic Thrasher's visit that violated Catholic values? What did he do that requires a new vetting policy? You all know the answer. You don't even need me to tell you the answer. But we'll go ahead and connect the two dots, right? Dominic Thrasher is gay. That's what this is all about. That's why they're mad about everything. That's the whole controversy. And his children's book that he wrote has nothing to do with that. The book wasn't about that. It's not an allusion to that. He didn't discuss his sexual orientation with the students. He didn't discuss anything with the students. He just read them his book. Like, he read them a perfectly non controversial, lighthearted book. But this priest felt the need to apologize to everyone in the community for the horrific crime of, I guess, allowing a gay person to interact with kids and breathe the same air. Like, even for the Catholic Church, that's a level of bigotry you don't often see. Because, I mean, the Catholic Church has long held the position that being gay, not a problem. Acting on it, big problem. But no one was acting on anything, and no one was talking about it. So, like, what are we doing here? So, to publicly condemn the invitation of a gay author to read to students, that doesn't make sense even under the Catholic Church's rule book. And the person who was hurt the most in all of this was the author, Dominic Thrasher. This is what he told a local news reporter. Here we go. It just angers me what he said, Thrasher said. The way he made me feel like I'm a predator or like a convict or something coming into the school. Thrasher said this isn't the first time his sexuality has been an issue for others. 12 years ago, I was asked to give this commencement speech at my alma mater, a private Catholic school, he said. Then, once they found out I was gay, I've been openly gay ever since I came out. That was at 21, so it was no shock to anybody. Everybody knew that. But once they found out, I was disinvited to give the commencement speech because being gay, I don't know, I'm going to ruin people or something. Thrasher thought life had already thrown enough obstacles his way. I was diagnosed with ALS a year ago. I don't have a lot of time. So I just want to share my gifts and my love to the world. Like, oh my God. I want to hug this man. I've never talked to him before, but that sounds devastating. Why are we mad at this guy for doing absolutely nothing wrong? Like, his visit to the school was literally a win-win for everyone. He got to read his book to kids. The kids seemed to enjoy themselves. Everyone left happy. It was the Catholic priest who decided to ruin things by reminding everybody that the Catholic Church is fundamentally a bigoted institution. By the way, I got to show you this picture of our friend Dominic Thrasher here because it look at this man. He's devastated by what they did to him. Why would you do this to this poor man? Let him read his children's book to the kids. Okay. So here's the thing about that apology. That wasn't an apology. I don't know what that was. Parents wanted answers. They wanted Father Tom Held, the priest who started this whole mess, they wanted him to resign. One parent here even wrote an open letter. Check this out. Wrote an open letter like the week all this happened. It was one page. It detailed Father Tom Held as someone who had fallen short in his tenure as parish priest, partly due to a lack of engagement and support for the children of St. Joseph and interactions that left members of the community feeling unheard or marginalized. So even the parents were pissed off by this guy not even doing a good job at his one job, but then going out of his lane and complaining about something that he had no right to complain about because nothing bad happened. And that wasn't the only form of backlash that happened either, because the day after that letter was posted online, check this out, for safety reasons, St. Joseph was closed the next day on Thursday because of harsh online reaction to the apology. And on Friday, oh my God, 79 of its 92 students stayed home, including a parent who wrote that open letter. So, like, everyone is just furious at this priest for doing whatever he thought he was doing. Everyone was mad about that. And then, of course, the Catholic diocese has to now step in to make things better. And of course, they did not make anything better. They released a statement Check this out. The Saginaw Diocese has now responded to the Fox 17 story by sending the following letter on Catholic Diocese of Saginaw letterhead from Superintendent of Schools Cormac Lynn to St. Joseph the Worker School families. Blah, blah, blah. You're in my prayers. No one cares. No one cares. Here's the interesting part. Bishop Gruss has reached out directly to Mr. Thrasher in the hope of opening direct dialogue. That right there is a dumb thing to say. Why are you reaching out to the author for dialogue? There's no two-way communication that needs to happen here. There's a one-way communication that needs to happen. It's an apology from the school and the diocese to this amazing dude who is reading his book to kids. What are they dialoguing about? That's a dumb letter to send to these parents. And guess what? It just made them angrier because clearly the Catholic diocese doesn't get why everyone is mad. So then they started protesting. Okay. Um, they started protesting outside the church. Oh, by the way, I should say the Diocese of Saginaw, they said that some people had been complaining about this author that came to their school. Apparently, these people complained that he was in a same sex relationship, to which I say, who cares? None of your business. He wasn't asking to get baptized in the church. He wasn't asking to get married in the church. He was just reading to kids upon invitation from someone who works at the school. Like, if the new rule is that practicing Catholics cannot be in the same space as LGBTQ people, Pope Francis needs to get up and say something. Instead, the diocese just couched their prejudice in religious weasel words, saying, they said in the letter, we are all created in the image and likeness of God and called to love one another, which might sound fine out of context, but how is that a defense of the Catholic Church's bigotry? Like, that is not something you put in there because that's just going to piss everyone off. So again, parents were furious. They were furious at the post on Facebook. They were furious at the way the diocese chose not to handle any of this well. And so people began protesting. There were protests on Sundays outside the church. Look at this picture in the Darien Times. Those are Catholic believers outside the church. You could see a rainbow flag there somewhere. And they're protesting outside the church. It's incredible. That is amazing. You don't see that. You see people like me protesting outside of a church when they do stupid things. There was something else I want to show you. It's not in there, but they're mad. They're very mad. And elsewhere, this is also interesting. They held signs. Look at this right here. The diocese had supported Father Tom Held, even as hundreds of people held Sunday protests against the priest's remarks and leadership style. They made signs that said, there's nothing righteous about bigotry disguised as religion, and love thy neighbors, no exceptions. So, holy crap, those protesters are going all out, and that is incredible. And so that brings me to what happened finally, like last week, because this went on for several weeks. Okay. Late last week, the diocese finally announced a resolution to all of this somehow. You could see statement from Bishop Robert Gruss. This is dated April 16th. And let's see what this says. Because of the unfortunate situation at St. Joseph the Worker Parish in Beale City, Father Thomas Held has come to the decision that it would be impossible for him to bring unity to the church, and therefore he has tendered his resignation as the pastor effective immediately. All the protesters got this dude to resign. But wait, they're not done. They didn't. First of all, you could have ended the whole thing right there. Maybe a sorry would be nice to hear. No. That's not what they did. Let's keep reading. The division, lack of charity, and the wounds caused by the division in the St. Joseph the Worker Parish community has brought deep sadness to the Lord Jesus, especially when we are living in the light of the resurrection we celebrated on Easter Sunday. Jesus weeps when he sees division and disunity in the body of Christ, his church. It is not his desire nor his will. Okay. What the hell? The division, the lack of church. So basically, what the diocese is saying is, hey, protesters, hey, parents, all you people complaining, you're making baby Jesus cry. This is all your fault for not standing with us and forcing this good man over here, this Father Tom Held, to have to resign because all of you hate him. Like, oh my God, they are victim blaming when it's not even something that has two sides to the story. This is all the diocese's fault. And they're like, you made Jesus angry. How could you do such a thing? That is a weird way to admit you're wrong. Bishop Gruss over here refuses to admit and to acknowledge the church's own role in promoting bigotry, and he won't admit that Tom Held went too far in his Facebook post. So I guess the good news is that that priest won't be leading that church that oversees the school. The bad news is that no one in leadership here in the diocese has come out and apologized for what he did to Dominic Thrasher. No one will admit that his Facebook post was disgusting and inappropriate. No one's going to be held accountable for this latest stain on the church's reputation. And the thing about resigning from the Catholic Church under your own volition is that there is nothing stopping that priest from walking, I don't know, 2 blocks down to the next Catholic diocese and setting up shop over there. Like, what's stopping him from getting a job at another church? That's what they do with predators all the time. So why wouldn't they do it to this guy who's just a bigot? There's nothing that the diocese did not say he's resigning and he's going to find a job as a welder, which would be nice. He would actually be doing something useful. No, no, no. They're just saying he's resigning from this particular church. So I don't know where he's going to pop up next, but it's probably another church. But like, again, none of this is going to matter. Like, I don't know if the protesters think they won, but none of this will make a difference unless the parents who send their kids to St. Joseph the Worker School and who go to the church overseeing that school, unless they transfer their kids out of the school and then leave that particular church and pack up and go somewhere else, none of this is going to make a difference. They need to abandon the school and they need to abandon the parish. Like, no money going to the diocese no matter what. No time or volunteer hours wasted anymore in that church. That's what they got to do. That's the only thing that will make a difference. And if they don't do that, then the church wins because the church gets everything it ever wanted. I saw this from one of the parents reacting to his resignation, and this upset me a little bit. This is one of the parents leading the charge. We can finally, now that he's resigned, we can finally begin the process of healing and restoring the sense of unity that defines our community, said this parent who has children in the parish school. No, no one's going to heal. No one's going to be restored unless you all quit, unless you move your kids, send them to a good public school nearby, send them to another Catholic school or another church. No, don't send them to a Catholic school. Send them to a different private school if you need to. But like, you haven't won because as far as the church is concerned, problem solved. Protests have ended. As far as the author goes, he's still persona non grata. They still get all the money from tuition dollars, and everyone's still coming to church. What did the church lose as a result of the protest? One priest who moves 3 doors down? Like, so no, none of this is over unless people actually take a stand and like stand up to the Catholic Church. As far as I can tell, that has not happened. No one is leaving. In case you're wondering, the author of that book, Dominic Thrasher, he did respond to the resignation. This is what he said. In response to Hell's resignation, Thrasher told Fox 17, a battle has been won, but the war is not over. And he's right, because the bigotry is still in the church. The church is still standing. They are still getting money from all the parents who are mad at them. So, like, yes, a small battle is won, but this is far from over. And if that's the case, why is everyone celebrating that anything won? He later said, Dominic Thrasher, he later said, and I liked this comment too. He said that the bishop's comments basically gaslight and blame the parishioners for the reason why he's not going to be there anymore, which is still a shame. And he's right. And for that reason, any decent member of that parish should make plans to get the hell out of there, because the church leaders are not going to change. And it seems like the people who attend the church and send their kids to the school, they are way better human beings than the people running the church. So get out. You can do better. Gonna pause there for now. Let's take some questions while we are here. Even just seeing the cover, that art is really cute. Yeah, it looks like a cute book. I didn't get a chance to read it. I'll pull it up here one more time, so you could see the cover here if I could find it. Here we go. Look at this cover. Aw, they look like they're having fun. I think CC and the sheriff are the names of two of his pets or something like that. But yeah, it looks like a cute book. Go buy the book. I have known people that would be outraged if a gay person interacted like that with children. I'd say I would trust the average gay guy off the street more than a Catholic priest. I find that stunning that people would be mad because as far as the school is concerned, it should not have mattered that this author was gay. It was irrelevant to anything he was doing there. The book is not about that. He wasn't talking about that. But the fact that it's the same argument some people have when it comes to like trans people using the correct, appropriate bathrooms. It's like, well, we don't want trans people in our bathrooms. It's like, buddy, you've been in bathrooms with trans people. Odds are you didn't know that. And of course, it didn't affect you, because why would it? When I go to the bathroom, I'm not talking to people. I'm definitely not looking. So, like, why would it make a difference? You're mad about something you didn't even think about until someone brought it up, and now you're going overboard. Like, it's a dumb thing to think. And it's the same thing here. Like, why is the Catholic diocese, why is the priest mad about any of this when it didn't matter? It's just dumb. Gay people should be past still having to insist upon fair treatment, but here we are still fighting the same damn bigots. It's true. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, shouldn't we be over anti-gay bigotry? I thought we'd moved on to like anti-trans bigotry. No. We've never gotten over the anti-LGBT LGB bigotry. It's still happening. It's happening in church culture more than others, but it's still there. It's frustrating. He's blaming his parishioners for the division and controversy that he single-handedly caused. Yeah, the diocese is mad that the representatives of the diocese said stupid things. So, of course, they're blaming you, like everyone else. It is ridiculous. I live in mid-Michigan, and I had to Google map Beale City, which is not that far from me. A tiny place in a rural area. I'm actually amazed there were enough decent people who were ticked off. This is the amazing thing about, like, red cities, red towns, even in places that are rural, even in places you think are in the middle of the Bible Belt or a very Christian community. I think I've seen stories about this in like Grand Rapids too, which is like where the DeVos family comes from. There are still so many people who are supportive of civil rights, regardless of what type we're talking about. And that includes people who are religious, who are as mad as everyone else when religious people come along and do something stupid. Like, no one gets madder about that than like religious people who are like, don't lump me in with these bigots. I'm better than them too. So yeah, like it may be surprising, but it shouldn't be, because this happens all the time. There are like amazing Christians fighting the good fight in like Mississippi and Alabama and name your state. You know what I mean? It's great.